Perfect.
Okay, this week we're discussing situations in which you have employed various sources of power and influence, referenced by Hackman and Johnson. So, does anybody have experiences where they employed power and influence on others?
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Do I have to put like information?
Yes.
Go for it.
I will say that for me, there was a lot of really good topics in the book this week, talking about like negotiations and dealing with aggressive tactics and how like as a leader you're able to identify those things in people and how we also have to identify those things myself. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting was the idea of like inventing arguments, I think the book calls it, and just this idea of like how we're so quick to pass blame to people, but we also are, as leaders, in charge of like delegating solutions, and how we also are trying to create positive outcomes for these issues. And I think that as leaders, it's such a tricky thing to like always assume positive intent in people, but as certain styles of leadership, like that's what we have to do is assume the positivity in things and always strive to have that sort of outcome. I don't really know if that answered the question or not, but
Yeah,
it's a start.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just gonna add and say one of my powers. I actually like the referent power, which is the role model power. I think I use that on a daily basis, especially with my younger siblings and cousins and everything like that. For me to be the first generation to even attend a university and be graduating in May, they actually look up to me as far as education-wise, and they admire me. And it says basically that admiration and dependent on feelings of affection, esteem, and respect is how you get referent power. So that's how that kind of applied to me. Also tying into chapter 10, growing up in America, I am a low text context person, so I like more direct messages. And so I know dealing with work and even being military, you get a lot of people who are from different places, and their communication styles are different. So when people are kind of indirect, it's not necessarily them trying to be rude, but I have to learn how to, communicate with people who don't always like to give eye contact from high context cultures. So that's kind of applying to my life in the military and just living new places.
That's great. It sounds like you empower your siblings too. You're empowering them, inspiring them, and chapter 5 talks about that too. And I think that's important when you're in a leadership role, to inspire and influence others and also show power to people want to follow.
I also think that I used it before, but I thought it was really interesting how they said that it's really easy for that leader to take advantage of people, and they have to be really mindful to not ask for like special favors.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you ever have that experience because you have so many siblings, and being kind of their role model puts you in a position of power.
I actually don't. I actually try and make sure I pave the way for my, younger siblings, nieces and cousins and stuff like that. I don't ever ask for anything or have them do anything for me. So, yeah.
Cool.
Good.
Good to be mindful, I guess, of that though. It's cool to learn about how to be a better referent leader.
I actually really found in chapter 5 when it was talking about the term super leaders. I don't know if you guys, if that like stuck out to you at all, but I found how like super leaders help followers learn to lead themselves. I find that to be a really interesting concept. One, because initially I thought it's almost, well then what's the point if everyone's a leader, then who are the followers? And I thought that was a really interesting concept to like chew on. But then I thought in my context as someone that's managing a Starbucks location, my job from corporate is always to help develop and always to push people further up into the company.
So I think we need to wrap it up really quickly.
Okay.
Oh, we do. Let Haley say something. She hasn't said anything. Go ahead,
Okay.
Haley.
Okay. Well, so from that list of the couple of different powers and stuff, while I was reading about it, one that not necessarily that I choose, but one that stuck out to me the most actually was the coercive power, because it reminded me kind of a parent power, I guess, which isn't necessarily what we were thinking of in the work aspect, but it's something that is super detrimental when you're raising that child, because you have to expect that obedience and you have to discipline in order for them to grow as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something that was really interesting to read about, because I just kept thinking about my mom and like, totally. But then I also, with Jamaica, I really enjoyed the referent power, because I think that's so cool to be a role model and to hold yourself accountable for other people. And if they're seeing what you're doing and they want to do things the way you're doing it, and being able to motivate somebody, or if they feel that what you're doing is how they want to be, like, I think that is so cool and so respectable and stuff. So those are the two that kind of stuck out to me and
Thanks
interesting.
for being great leaders within our group and great teammates and very empowered. Great job.
Yeah.